Hey there, guys. So a little bit earlier, I did some ticket pulls and then the vision card step up for the new Ibarra. Ended up getting her. And now that we have the new Ibarra, we can do a rank 1 clear that doesn't use Melissa. This has been requested quite a few times. And, with the new Ibarra at EX1 is all we really need. EX2 will make it way better. But as long as you've got an EX1 Blade of Vengeance Ibarra and the rest of the team I'm using, we can get a rank 1. So let's get in here and do it. I'll show the team's gear at the end, go over some stuff, turn chart will be in the comments, etc. So it is a little bit trickier with only EX1 Ibarra. First of all, the first problem is her LB gauge doesn't start filled up. So we gotta deal with that, which is a little bit of an annoyance. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do is Kresnik is going to Arcane Stimulant to get that morale gain going, because not using Melissa, morale is pretty hard. Abigail will cover Contingency. That's not Contingency. We will cover Contingency and Shelga for the mitigations. We got to get the Esper gauge filled on turn 1 for this clear. Technically, you don't have to. You could do it on turn 2, but I want to fill it on turn 1. So we're going to use now Lilith to Unstoppable Corruption and double Rapture to heal up the party, as well as hopefully get an Esper drop. We did. Perfect. So now we can do the field on turn 1 with Fina. And then Olive can do both the breaks, both the killers, and her Giant Melon. That's just to get some morale gain. And Ibarra on turn 1 in the base form is going to use both her prayer skills for the killers and Anun for the Dark Imperil, etc. Okay, so some magic attacks on Abigail. Now, we need to fill up Ibarra's LB by turn 2, which is a little tricky, so we're going to be using the rest of our support team to do that. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to triple cast Lilith, Bar Darkja, to fill up the LB gauge a little bit. That's probably going to be enough. It was. If it wasn't, we could have also used Bar Faraja on Abigail, but because we don't have to, now we can use drone cover and double anti-magic, anti-physical mechanism to fill the morale gauge even more. We're going to just reload Olive to fill the LB gauge. Fill the morale gauge. We're going to use the base form of Ibarra to put up a Katana Imperil, etc. Fina on this turn is just going to use Courageous Roar from Paws of Prosperity. If you don't have the Paws, it's not that big a deal. We can fix it with Kresnik later, but if you do have it, it'll be helpful to do it there. And then Kresnik, worst case scenario, this turn Kresnik could normal attack to fill Ibarra's LB gauge the rest of the way. Otherwise, just do Stimulant again. Okay. Yeah, and most of this headache is because of Ibarra not being EX2. But anyway, we handled that problem. So we're going to burst next turn. So wait for all this. Okay, so Olive, a lot of auto casting. Okay, so Olive can just do her morale stuff again. Lilith on this turn can just triple Rapture. We're going to SLB with our Abigail. We're going to SLB with our Fina. Kresnik can just Arcane Stimulant again. Okay, on this turn, because we're not using Melissa, there's going to be 5 AoE physical attacks that are we're going to cover them with Lilith. Lilith is currently covering, and she's going to cover the 5 AoE physicals. The party still has a double Mirage from Contingency on turn 1. So we're going to Mirage 2 of the cover-ignoring attacks. And they're going to go to Kresnik, because Kresnik has the most attack power in the party. It hits the highest attack power. The third attack is going to get through and hit Kresnik, but he is going to Guts and survive. That's how we're dealing with the physical stuff on turn 3. So Lilith covers the AoE. The cover-piercing, provoke-ignoring single targets are going to all go to Kresnik. 2 will be Miraged. 3rd will be Gutsed. As far as Ibarra herself, we're going to use Wish with a Vengeance in this order. We're going to use Bar Darkja, and we're going to do her Magnus to focus and 150 amplify her. Okay, There we go, 175 morale. Not as good as with Melissa, so here we go. There, and then we guts the third attack. So that's how we handle the physical stuff without Melissa. Okay, now it is time to do some burst. Just like my previous strategies, we want to burst the boss decently hard, but we don't want to go all the way to 50. Now, I realize it's kind of an irritation to do it this way, but it really is, in my opinion, the most optimal way to handle Phase 2. So, on this turn, we need to deal the damage cap without going over. So 2.5 up to 2.85. We want to get close to 50 without going over. So Kresnik, as the first action, we'll just go ahead and potion, remedy, antioxidant. That'll cure your breaks just in case you didn't have the Pulse of Prosperity. So there you go. Olive will SLB, Lilith will SLB. We're going to use the shifted LB of Ibarra. And in order to squeeze out even more damage, Fina is going to use the big demon killer, and then we're going to like preemptive chain a little bit to build the chain mod with the double bolting. And then Abigail will just cover, and then double bolting to match up to Dark Fina. So we're going to start the Fina-Abigail combo first, wait just a moment, and then we're going to click the rest and cap this. We're going to send this, wait just a second, and then send this. And we should be doing 2.5 up to, oh god, 3 billion. Too much damage. I will be right back in a second on turn 4 when we do less damage. See you in a second. Okay guys, I reran the fight. We're back on turn 4. And like I've mentioned in previous videos, if you're doing too much damage on turn 4, find a way to slightly reduce your damage. So this time, we're just not going to use the big demon killer on Lilith to intentionally deal slightly less damage, because as we know, our team is a little bit too much damage for this turn. So, you got to find a way just to lower your damage a little bit on this turn. So instead of doing the demon killer, we'll just triple bolting and nothing else with our support chainers. And we're also not going to like as much early pre-chain. So we're going to go ahead and send this, just send them all at once, and hopefully this time we deal 2.5 without going too far over. That's much better. So 2.6, there we go. So we did 3 billion, now we did 2.6. We still did the damage cap, but we didn't push the threshold on turn 4. We want to push it on turn 5, because I really like the Phase 2 rotation when you cross it on turn 5. Okay, so this turn, again, Kresnik can just reload, potion, remedy, antioxidant, kind of whatever. We're going to have Olive do double break. We're going to now use Gunner for a slightly bigger mod buff, giant melon, and dual summer shot. Lilith will triple betrayal. We're going to stay in the shift form with Ibarra and triple demonic cleave. Let's see, before we do that, we're going to cover Bar Faraja and biothermal generator with Abigail, and we can just triple bolting strike with our Fina on this turn. So we're going to click Olive, wait just a moment, then chain the rest, and there we go. So that should push the rest of the threshold on this turn. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so now because we don't have Melissa, the boss heals to completely full. So we have to deal the entirety of the boss's health over the next 5 turns. It's a little tricky to do, but thankfully with Lilith and Ibarra, we can do that. So on turn 6 is mostly just a reset up turn. So back to the base form with Ibarra, where we're going to both the killers again, and we're going to refresh the Anun skill. Abigail can SLB again. Kresnik can again just reload his thing, kind of whatever. He's kind of hanging out for the moment. Dark Fina on turn 6 is not doing a whole lot. She'll just triple bolting again. Lilith is going to Unstoppable. Now, we need to cover again with Lilith. So we're going to Enchanting Seductress to cover, because again, we don't have Melissa to imbue, and on turn 7, the physical damage, we gotta cover it. So we're gonna cover with Lilith, and then just do Betrayal. And Olive on this turn can do double break. We're going to Melon, Dual Summer, and then Magnus. So let's go ahead and click Lilith first, and then click this, and hopefully we can cap a little bit. But honestly, this turn, I really messed that up. That timing up pretty horribly. It doesn't matter. That turn was not really a damage turn, so who cares that I messed that up big time. Okay, the real damage is coming in just a second. So now we're going to start bursting pretty hard. We got to kill this boss by turn 10. So we're going to start doing a lot of damage. So we're going to SLB Lilith and Olive. Before we do that, we're going to SLB Dark Fina. We're going to use the base form LB of Ibarra. We're also, before we do that, Abigail is going to contingency and break the boss again with anti-physical, anti-magic. Wait on Kresnik. We are not going to use Kresnik yet. So now let's go ahead and chain these guys and just wait. Deal our damage. Okay, now Kresnik in the base form is going to quad normal attack. And once again, Kresnik is geared for the most buffed attack power. And just like turn 3, we're going to cover the AoE with Lilith, double Mirage the first 2 attacks on Kresnik, and then he's going to, again, he's wearing a second source of guts. He's going to guts the final attack yet again. So we're going to normal attack to fill LB gauge right here. We want to start bursting really hard in phase 2. So here comes the physical stuff, no big deal. We cover the stuff with Lilith, and then we take 3 million damage on Kresnik, but he has guts. No problem, handled. Now let's continue to burst again. So our Lilith is good to go for her LB, which is nice. So we're going to LB on Lilith. We're going to use Olive to double break, killer, focus, and cap. Now, we're going to use Ibarra to focus herself this turn. So she's going to shift, and we're going to still deal damage, though. So we're going to double cleave, and then final action, Demonic Retribution. We're going to use Extreme Nova Frames with Abigail to match up to our Lilith. We're also going to triple bolting with our Fina to match up to Ibarra. So let's go ahead and chain these up. We're doing, actually we need to click Olive first. Wait just a moment. And then chain this up. And then we normal attack our Kresnik. And a little bit of damage. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Alright, turn 9. We are going to, once again, normal attack Kresnik. And that will fill up the rest of the way on Lilith. So turn 9, we're going to burst yet again. We're going to double break, focus, cap, and Magnus. We're going to use the base form LB of Ibarra this turn to match up with Lilith. We have to use the SLB of Abigail this turn. Fina is going to do Demon Killer, and then we'll just double bolting. And then we're going to chain the back row. Let's see. So we're going to start Fina first, and then we're going to chain the Extreme Novas with a little bit of bigger Demon Killer for the damage here. Okay, so we're almost done at this point. So a lot of damage on Abigail this turn, but with her Magnus, with her SLB, she's going to be totally fine here. Yeah, minimal damage. And now we can finish off the boss. So we did 100% damage across 4 turns with bursting. So wait just a second. We're getting a bunch of counters with Abigail, and just in case your LB is not ready, we're going to normal attack with Kresnik yet again, quad normal attack to fill LB gauge. Although we actually filled LB gauge from counters, we're going to just normal attack him again anyway, just to show you what if we didn't. Then we're going to SLBU, SLBU. We're going to go to the shift form and use the limit on Ibarra. And then again, we can just support chain with these units. We can triple bolting to start the chain, and then we can triple bolting. I mean, this is way overkill. We don't need this much, but just in case. So we go ahead and start the chain, let it build a little bit, and then come in with the real damage dealers after the chain is at max modifier. And there is the end of Nabanuga with no Melissa. No Melissa, EX1 Ibarra, rank 1, done. Yeah, I was so close to doing this yesterday with Ayaka instead of Ibarra, but we were a little short killing in phase 2 because of the human killer penalty. Yeah, Ayaka couldn't quite go all the way from 100 to boss dead. And there it is, rank 1 clear. And here is the damage breakdown. So EX3 Lilith is, as I mentioned before, a very big deal in this fight. She's just very, very consistent damage in Phase 2. Ibarra, same thing, a lot of damage in Phase 2. Mine's only EX1, obviously with EX2 or 3. She'd deal a lot more damage than Lilith. Also, next week, we're getting leader skills, and leader skills will make this clear super easy. Super easy. In fact, next week with the leader skill, it might make turn 4 a huge headache because you're going to deal so much more damage on turn 4. But I'll figure that out next week. But there it is. And let me go ahead and show you the team's gear. As usual, turn chart will be in the comments. Alright, let's go ahead and show the gear. No modifiers while showing the gear, keep that in mind. And here is the party. So, Kresnik is starting in the shift form with, we're dual wielding a morale card. It's not really that big a deal if you don't have this because we're actually dealing too much damage on turn 4. So if you didn't have as much morale as I did by turn 4, it's actually almost a good thing. But after turn 4, Kresnik's autocast keep your morale topped off always, you're fine. But anyway, he has the most attack power after buffs in the entire party. And we gave him a source of guts in the shift form. Also the treasured ring, and then some Esperfill, and then some attack power dual wield. I didn't actually pot his attack power, you don't need to. There it is. And in the base form, he is Yeti combat style to quad attack. He is dual wielding. And a different source of guts in the base form so that we can guts yet again. I know he has guts in his kit naturally, but I'm just being safe here. And again, attack power, I gave him Blizzard Orb for a little bit of counters, a little bit more a little bit more LB fill. And there we go. So make sure again he's the highest attack power in the party. Warrior's Prayer Dark Fina is passive provoking, not required technically speaking. It does make your tank take less damage if someone else is provoking, because then you get cover mitigation for the execution attack. But there it is, a morale card, the Celestite Rod. This is optional. If you have it, it's useful on turn 2 to cure the breaks. If you don't have it, then you can cure the breaks on turn 4 with Kresnik anyway, so not that big a deal. Esperfill, and she's on the Behemoth Esper. If you don't have Dark Fina, I do think she's very replaceable. I will work out some alternatives now that I have Ibarra to make this clash a little bit easier. Abigail is, it turns out you don't need any resistance on your tank because we just Mirage and Guts it anyway. So just, bulk. Blizzard Orb, very, very helpful for getting morale fill, and then a lot of counter gear so that, again, not morale fill, for LB fill, because the more we counter, the more we fill LB gauge, the more we can spam LBs in Phase 2. A source of Extreme Nova, so we can support chain on turn 8. Not technically required, but it is helpful. And then just a morale card. Whatever morale card you have is great. Beach Blaster Olive is LB damage versus humans and demons. There we go. A little bit of chain speed if you have it. If you can't fit it, that is okay. An LB damage card. And then maxed human, maxed demon, maxed LB. There is the build. Lilith. I changed Lilith's gearing from my previous video. I gave her a lot more chain speed. So Prodigious Performer, Promise from Childhood, so that she builds that chain modifier very quickly, so she gets more damage. And it seems to help her quite a bit. So here's the build we're using. There's the setup, LB damage, and we're using her own card because it does give killers and defense, which she wants. So there we go, 10,500 defense, and then we're maxed on everything. Maxed LB, maxed human, maxed demon, and the maximum possible chain speed. So there we go. And then my EX1 Blade of Vengeance Ibarra. So at EX1, she's a little bit harder to gear, not that hard, but she doesn't have her EX2 passives yet. So there we go, here's the build we're using. We got her to maxed LB, maxed demon, maxed human, and then we're giving her this card because it gives demon killer. At EX2 or above, she gears for killers super easy. At EX1 or below, it's a little bit harder. Shift form identical, and there it is. There was the build. There was the clear. No Melissa, rank 1 guide. I can already see people, what if I don't have Dark Fina? What if I don't have Lilith? What if I don't have Abigail? I will figure that out in the future. See you next time.